Hello and welcome to another episode of Worlds Collide. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm Mitch.
And today we are bringing you one of DC's most formidable villains,
Yes.
Brainiac.
Yes. The Collector of Worlds. One of Superman's greatest villains. Like, Superman has three major threats to him. Lex Luthor, Brainiac, and Darkseid.
Yeah, Doomsday's in there somewhere, but he's farther down the line.
Yes. Well, Doomsday is his threat physically, but these three that I just mentioned are threats more universally. Well, even Lex Luthor, I wouldn't say is a universal threat. Brainiac and Darkseid are his universal threats.
Absolutely. Yeah, like he's had to... I think he's even teamed up with Brainiac and with Darkseid at different points in time to defeat the other ones.
Yes, as a matter of fact, there's one story where I did read up where Lex Luthor and Darkseid had a team up against Brainiac. We'll get to that.
Oh, there's been other times where Lex and Brainiac have merged?
Yeah, oh yeah.
We'll get to that.
Oh yeah, we'll get to all that. So Brainiac is, if any of you viewers have never heard of him, he's actually one of Superman's main villains, which is why you've seen him in everything in TV shows and cartoons. But what you have not seen him, and reason why a lot of people have been clamoring for, is having Brainiac in a movie. We have not had Brainiac in any of the live-action movies yet.
Not yet.
Not yet.
He should be coming, though.
Yeah.
Because he's one of those villains that can sneak in, and when I say sneak in, literally sneak him into places, like infect some kind of technology with a virus.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah. Or do him like they did in the Silver Age. So, okay, let's go over his publication history a little bit.
Because he's been around for a while now. We first saw him, back in the 50s?
Yeah, so he's not as old as some other villains. He's not Joker old or anything like that. He wasn't created in the Golden Age. He came in the Silver Age of comics.
Yeah.
But, so publication history, there's nothing too elaborate about it. There's no origin behind as to why he was created or anything like that. There was no social impact. He was just
a character
created. Just a character created.
Yeah.
Nothing special about it. First appearance, Action Comics number 242 in 1958. Created by Otto Binder and Al Plastino.
And he first was just kind of an explorer, so to speak.
Yeah.
A gatherer.
Well, yeah, so his first depictions, it's funny because the first issue showed him as a bald green alien with the ports on his head, but in the actual issue, he didn't actually have the ports around his head. He just looked like a green alien, a bald green alien.
Really?
He didn't even look physically built or anything like that. He looked kind of
average,
normal looking,
kind of mediocre.
Yeah, yeah.
When did they change that?
It wasn't until a couple of years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because his original demeanor was very humanoid.
Yeah.
Even though he's an extraterrestrial android or cyborg, at first he appears as an alien.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's mistaken as, everyone just thinks he's this alien.
Yeah.
Which we find out later that, nope, he is a robot. An alien robot, essentially. I forget who
actually the original
him.
Actually, until his reboot. So originally he was just an alien. He wasn't even a robot or anything like that.
Until later they retconned it.
Until his retcons, yeah. But his first issue, his first original origin.
Yeah.
He was collecting different cities. When he first showed up on Earth, he was collecting different cities. So Brainiac's most prominent ability is his ability to shrink cities. He's got a shrinking technology that shrinks down cities, and he likes to shrink down cities and bottle them in jars like
a snow globe.
Yeah, or pirate ships.
Yes,
assembled ships. And it's funny because what he did is that as he was his first appearance, he's shrinking these cities and put them in bottles, and it's exactly what he's doing. He's got these giant tweezers, and he's sticking them in these bottles to experiment with them. Like he ends up destroying one of the cities and one of the bridges with his tweezers, and
It's like the San Francisco Bridge or something, or like
Yeah.
the main bridge or wherever it is, and he breaks it just to see what happens.
Yeah.
And when he does this, I think at the time Superman was small in this city, and he's like, okay, well that's not going to stand. And so he flies up and pops the little cork off and starts trying to do something about it. And actually, I think it's at this point in time, because Superman ran into him just before this. Wasn't able to do anything. He had some barrier, some immunity barrier, some force shield.
That's his second specialty. Brainiac has always been known about his force fields. His force fields strong enough to absorb Superman at his full strength, giving us everything.
Yeah, so that was when, boom, you enter Brainiac, Superman faces off against him, can't do anything.
Yeah.
Basically, I think they're originally facing off in space, too.
Yeah.
And Lois is there with Clark. He has to make some shitty getaway, being like, "Oh, I'm running away," and put on some escape, jetpack, and then hides behind an asteroid, turns into Superman, and starts doing something about it, just to realize, oh my gosh, I'm useless. They go back to Earth. He, shows back up as Clark, and then that's when the city shrunk, and he's in the city when it shrunk. And he finally decides at this point to fly out of the ship when the bridge breaks, or the little glass, whatever you call it.
Mm-hmm.
And he's on Brainiac's ship at this point.
Yes.
Which is another big feat of Brainiac's. He's got probably one of the coolest ships in the DC universe.
Although back then, in his first issue,
it was just a flying saucer.
Yes.
So once he gets on the ship, right, Brainiac is... I think he's kind of depleted at this point. He's kind of tired. So he's laying down for his hyperbolic time sleep. His Han Soloing, And it's then that Superman finds another little jar. Kandor.
Yeah. He finds the Kryptonian city Kandor encased in a jar.
Yes, and obviously he's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
So he goes to investigate, and as soon as he goes in the jar, he loses his powers.
Yeah.
Because on this planet,
it's a red sun.
It's Krypton. Yeah. Now that makes me wonder, how does he get the sun powers inside these cities?
I don't know.
Comics.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Comics are weird.
Yeah, because that's what I was like. All right, I understand the concept of strength and cities, putting them in. How does he bring the sun?
Yeah.
Alright. But irrelevant. He gets stuck in the jar, and I believe at the end of that comic, he's got to find some old scientist who helps him figure out how he's shrinking them.
Yeah.
And he's using a telescope basically to look out of the jar at the computer screens in the ship to figure out how this is done. Yeah. Builds Superman a jetpack and lets him jetpack out of the little Kandor jar that they're trapped in, and then...
Yeah.
Again, he goes against Brainiac, and...
Well, the end result was that there's only enough power to either restore Superman back to his normal size
or
Kandor.
Yeah.
And the scientist decides that our Earth needs our Superman, so he sacrificed Kandor to allow Superman to go back to his normal size again.
Yeah, so Superman actually takes the jar and keeps it safe afterwards in his Fortress of Solitude.
That's right.
Forever hoping to restore his fellow Kryptonians to their real size.
That's right.
And that's funny, though, because I learned something through the research of Brainiac.
Yeah.
That one, Kandor existed.
Yeah.
Two, it's still here on Earth.
Yeah.
And he's not actually the last Kryptonian.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You'd think after all this time they would have really focused on developing some way to bring these guys bigger and have a whole bunch of Supermen.
They have had stories about that, actually.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. It's, much later.
Yeah.
So
it's too soon.
Yeah, Kandor ends up becoming like the new Krypton. And that ends up getting destroyed again. But anyways, yeah.
Classic.
But there was a retcon in 1964.
What happened in the retcon?
So in the retcon, Brainiac was this is where it was retcon that Brainiac was actually a machine.
Oh, okay.
Created by a computer tyrant of Kolu as a spy to invade other worlds.
Until finally the machines that they created rose up and overthrew their creators.
Yeah. So Brainiac was made as a spy to which is why, even though he's a computer, they made him look humanoid so that he could go and spy on other planets so that he could take over and whatnot. And from here on out, Brainiac hasn't had too many appearances. He was never the villain of the week. He was more of a plot device. Things happened because Brainiac was manipulating the events. But you never saw Brainiac. Brainiac was always like the
puppet master behind the scenes.
That's right.
And that's a better role for him. He's fucking brilliant.
Yeah.
He's the strategist. He's the brain maniac.
Yeah.
The word Brainiac officially did not exist before Brainiac was created, although they tried to say that the first computer took the name.
Yeah. But I like that. I found that as well. And I'm like, well, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, Brainiac, he created the term.
Yeah. These guys who invented this superhero, this supervillain, it started the moniker of Brainiac. Like, we take for granted calling somebody a Brainiac. It's actually based off of this character.
Yeah.
It didn't exist before this character, that term Brainiac.
Prior to 1950, there was no such thing as Brainiac.
No.
Just brain maniacs.
Yeah. But yeah, so that brings us to the Bronze Age, really.
Yeah. No gold, started in silver, brought us through till 1964.
Yeah.
And then
bronze. Now we're gonna skip over to the Bronze Age to 1983, so shortly after Crisis.
Oh, this is when they get to... Now, is it in Crisis they get to add in all the filler for Lionel Luthor? Or is that New 52?
It's New 52.
New 50, okay.
And I didn't actually do a lot of research on that, but I do like the fact that they brought in Lionel Luthor because I'm such a fan of the character from Smallville.
Oh, love the character in Smallville, even though you love to hate him.
Yes.
He's a character that you love to hate.
Yes.
And those are the best villains.
Yes.
Something about that timeline, once we get there, it ties in Vandal Savage, Brainiac, and Lionel.
Yeah.
So we'll speak about that once we get to the New 52. So what happens with Crisis?
So after Crisis, 1983, Action Comics number 544, Brainiac is shown constructing a giant artificial computer controlled planet to defeat Superman. So Brainiac creates this giant planet that's controlled by creates this giant artificial computer controlled planet.
What?
Yeah. To try and beat Superman, but Superman ends up beating him. In the end result of this battle, Brainiac ends up getting trapped at the center of this planet.
Ooh, good.
So so Brainiac couldn't escape this planet. So what he did is that he figured out a way to destroy a nearby star, Epsilon 4, and made it go supernova to destroy the planet that he was stuck in. By doing so, though, it dissolved Brainiac's humanoid body into a stream of sentient molecules.
Right, so this is where the body's destroyed, the mind survives.
Yeah. So these molecules traveled through space and time, and then the molecules returned to the present time and reformed a living computer with no trace of human emotions.
This is where we get just the pure robot version of Brainiac.
That's right.
And this is Brainiac 2?
We could call it Brainiac 2, sure.
Okay. Because there's a whole family tree of Brainiacs.
Oh, yeah. Many Brainiacs.
Yeah, we got Brainiac 1 through 13, and then we skip a bit and we go 418 or 417 or something.
As a matter of fact, could have sworn... 1961. So I did skip something. Brainiac 5's introduction was 1961.
With the Legion of Superheroes?
That's right.
From
the 30th century.
Yeah, they're from the future, so we see a bunch of those guys in the Supergirl TV show.
Yes. And Brainiac 5 is the replacement for Winn in Supergirl.
Yes. The blue-faced dude with all the little buttons.
Yeah, Brainy.
Yeah, he looks weird.
Yeah.
It's like a horrible rendition of Brainiac.
But I like him.
I like the character, I just don't like the deviation from origin.
Yeah. But yeah, honestly, I do like how every once in a while he starts losing control and the Brainiac of Brainiac 5 starts emerging.
Yeah, and starts getting a little bad.
Yeah, and that's kind of terrifying.
I don't think I've seen that far into that season. I believe it's like 4 of Supergirl.
Yeah.
But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Now, the cool parts you see with Brainiac in the Supergirl show are when he's doing all his calculations during fights.
Yeah.
And he's like dodging this, pirouetting this way, dancing this way, and he's not even attacking them, he's letting them beat themselves up.
No.
That's the coolest part about Brainiac. Now,
Yeah.
does he not have the super strength, the super speed as
Yes.
Brainiac 5?
Yep.
He doesn't use any of it.
Doesn't need to.
Interesting. I was always wondering that when I'm watching the Supergirl show. I'm like, does he not have this? Or does he just not need it?
Now, in the comics, Brainiac 5 and Supergirl actually fall in love.
Yes. And then they retcon that at one point, and he falls in love with another Kryptonian female, one of the Demeteras or Damascus, whatever Mon-El is. What's Mon-El?
He's a... blanking on the name of the race now.
It's a D something.
Yeah. I don't remember.
Those guys.
The Krypton's neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah, because at one point he develops a lead poisoning solution.
Yeah.
All that. Daxamites.
That's what it is.
Daxamites.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yes. So he falls in love with the Daxamite at one point later when they retcon the whole Supergirl thing. And then again later he finds some other chick, some dream princess girl.
But to bring us back to Brainiac, so Brainiac 5 was a future version of Brainiac, but this one is a good guy. He uses his intellect and his advanced technology for the forces of good, and is part of the future version of Justice League called the Legion of Superheroes, and they're based in the 30th century.
One of the biggest things he does for the team is creates their flight rings.
Yeah.
So their time travel rings that they need to not only time travel, they also give all the superheroes the ability to fly.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. If you're a superhero and you can't fly, well, here.
Now you can.
Put this on.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So like we said, we go and we've skipped a few.
Yeah.
So who's 2, who's 3, who's 4? Do we want to kind of do a little family tree?
Well, I think it's better if we just go through his.
We'll
history.
tag on the family tree at the end here.
That's just it. Like we'll go through as we're going through the publication history of Brainiac, we'll mention some of the more important versions of Brainiac. So the first Brainiac is Brainiac, and the last Brainiac is Brainiac 13. So there's a slew of Brainiacs in between Brainiac and Brainiac 13.
And there is another one after 13 that's Brainiac 417, I believe. But we'll get to that one.
Yeah. All right, but yeah, let's bring it back to the Silver Age. So after he reformed himself, he becomes this more metallic, skeletal-looking Brainiac, more machine-looking.
I believe we get to see him in either it's Superman Unlimited or one of the animated movies.
Yeah.
In one of the animated movies, I think it's Superman Brainiac attacks. And it's him in his robotic metal form, and he's created a ship that's just a skull extension of himself.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
With the arms and the tentacles.
And that's just it. Yeah, so when this Brainiac came back, he had that skull ship with the tentacles, and that skull ship, even though he's gone through many retcons and rewrites and reimaginings since then, that skull ship has remained a consistent ship throughout Brainiac's history from here on out.
And it is him. He can control the ship even when he's not on the ship. He's nowhere near the ship. It is an extension of him, yes.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
So let's go back to here. So
how did they end up defeating that Brainiac?
I didn't write that down because
I think to defeat that one, they had to finally get him trapped in a swamp, and that was when the bacteria finally.
No, I think that's a more recent story.
Was that a more recent one?
It's a more recent story.
I can't remember how they got rid of that one.
I don't remember either. But like I said, I didn't write it down because there's so many stories of Brainiac, and I didn't want to go step by step of every story with Brainiac.
And he doesn't really die when he dies.
No.
Because he is essentially a computer program that just recreates itself in the next being.
That's right.
He will rebuild himself.
That's right.
He's like the ever-living Doombot.
Yeah, exactly. And so, funny you should mention that. I don't want to skip ahead, but he has a lot of similarities to Doom.
I know.
So, blah, 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 created an now famous skull ship with the tentacles.
Yeah.
So this is where he had taken over Luthor's body, and which results in both of their deaths. So this is they kind of did this in the Justice League Unlimited series, where Lex Luthor
First Flash at the end.
Yeah, where they fuse together to become one. But in the comics, Brainiac ends up taking over Luthor's body, and I think somehow Lana Lane had some superpowers, and Lex found a way to take control of his body from Brainiac and told Lana to kill him. And Lana does. She snaps his neck, killing Lex Luthor and also killing this Brainiac as well.
Oh.
Yeah.
Simple neck snap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, that's why you don't take over humanoids. Stick to technology.
But that brings us to the modern age. So there's a lot of that brings us to the modern age. There's a lot of different things that happened with this Brainiac and whatnot. But like I said, I didn't write them all down because they're all really good stories, and none of them are. Brainiac is never a villain of the week. Every time Brainiac shows up, it's a major event.
Yes.
Just like Darkseid.
Absolutely.
When Darkseid shows up, it's a major event. And when we do an episode of Darkseid, I'm not going to go through every story of Darkseid. Because every one of them...
Every time we saw Darkseid, the world was coming to an end.
Well, that's just it. And every time there's a story with Darkseid, every time there's a story with Brainiac, it's not just one issue. It's like a 5-part series.
Well,
or more.
The other thing with Brainiac, too, is it's Superman's his main villain.
Yes.
But usually the whole league has to get involved.
Yes.
Was it not Brainiac with the Mandrake flower?
No.
That wasn't? Okay. I thought he was one of the ones who orchestrated that delivery. No,
it was Darkseid. It was Mongol.
It was Mongol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mongol. What do you got going on here?
See, you're wearing your Goonies t-shirt.
Goonies t-shirt.
That'd be you. Because, what's his name? Kronk or whatever his name. Hey, you guys.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got that right, bud. Baby Ruth.
Sloth, thank
Sloth.
you. That's it.
I was going to say Mumph. I'm like, Mumph isn't the name. What's going on, Worse? Good to see you back, bud. Hopefully you like Brainiac.
Oh, yeah, as much as we did researching him.
He's a cool villain.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that you just can't simply dispose of him.
Yeah.
Because he's like a technology virus that, if he's on Earth, he can go anywhere.
Well, yes, until this retcon. So in the modern age, there was another retcon on Brainiac, and this retcon I was not aware of until today. So in this retcon, hang on to your seats, okay? So, he's actually a radical Kaluan scientist named Vril Dox.
All right, okay, so the Vril reset.
Yeah, well, there's 2 Vril resets.
Oh, there's 2?
Yes.
Okay, go on.
This one here, the second one I was aware of. This one here, I was not aware of. So this one here, this radical scientist named Vril Dox tried to overthrow their planet was being overthrown by computer tyrants. By the computer tyrants. It's not just computer tyrants. They are known as the computer tyrants.
They're a big thing.
And they were overthrowing Kulu, which is Vril Dox's home planet, Brainiac's home planet. And so he tried to overthrow these tyrants, and because of that, he got sentenced to death. Now, before he got disintegrated, his mind, before his body got disintegrated, his consciousness was sent light years away into the body of a Milton Moses Fine, a human sideshow mentalist known as the Amazing Brainiac.
And Milton Fine. Milton Fine is the name of the Brainiac in Smallville.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, why is that name so fucking familiar?
So it finds out when Brainiac, Vril Dox's consciousness goes into Fine's body, into Milton Fine's body, he finds out that Milton Fine is actually a metahuman with psychic abilities.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So he has telekinesis and telepathic abilities.
That's where he gains those ones. I was wondering when he got the telepathy and the
telekinesis.
The telekinesis,
yeah. It's by taking over the metahuman Milton Fine.
Okay, so that's the one rendition of the retcon. Now, does he have any of his tech powers?
Eventually, yes.
Okay, but it starts off pretty mundane.
Yeah, just mundane. He's
pretty strong. But...
Yeah, like his telekinesis and telepathy is strong enough to take over Superman and like the entire Justice League. Like he's like really powerful.
Oh, so this is the point where you see him and he's just like taking over people's minds, just straight possessing them.
Yeah, when he first showed up, he needed cranial fluid to maintain the possession. So he went on a massive murdering spree to
just get all the cranial brain fluids.
Yeah.
Wow.
Comics are weird.
Like, what was he using? A turkey baster, a syringe? How is he storing this cranial brain fluid?
I don't know.
Like, I learned one thing, and just 10 different questions pop into my mind. Ugh.
Like I said, hold on to your seats because I was not aware of this.
I just picture him running around, busting into rooms with Kool-Aid jammer packs, going,
"Oh yeah,
ooh, mind control." Fucking god.
No, Mongo, not Mungo.
Mungo is the guy from
Blazing Saddles.
I don't remember that either.
Blazing Saddles, the movie by Mel Brooks.
Nope.
Black Sheriff.
Nope.
It's an old movie.
Yup.
So Fine was metahuman after a skirmish. So here's where things goes to where we know Brainiac more.
Okay.
So after a skirmish, Milton Fine's body becomes irreparably damaged. It was part of a gas station explosion.
Okay.
Leaving Brainiac with only a short time left to live. So with the help of a Kaluan named Prinnox, they go and capture Doomsday's body from the end of time. Yeah, and tries to put Brainiac's consciousness into Doomsday's body.
How does that go?
So it goes. It does work for a bit. So for a short time, Brainiac becomes the most powerful being in the universe because he's got the 12th level intellect of Brainiac.
And just for reference, average human on Earth, 6th level.
Yeah, well, we'll get to that in power level. So,
he was only 10th. He only was 10th level intellect until Lex meddled with him, boosting him up to a 12th.
That's right. Actually, yeah, we'll go over that right now. Actually, so powers and abilities. That's exactly right. Because I always said that he was a 12th level intellect. What the fuck does that mean?
What does that mean?
Yeah.
So on average, a human 6.
Yeah.
And he started at 10.
Well, so on average, a human.
Oh shit.
On average, a human of our time, like our timeline right now, is a 6. The average intelligence of a human in the 31st century is a 9th level. And he's a 12th level. So just to put that in perspective. So right now, we are a 6. Us in the 31st century...
So 1,000 years from now, with all our increased learning and our maths,
we're
and our
still
sciences.
only a 9th level intellect. And he's a 12th level.
Arm reach, guys.
My meme that I put on Snapchat, it's a picture of Cusco. No touchy.
Not touchy.
No touchy. Another way to perceive his intelligence, to really understand how intelligent he is. Okay, get this.
All right.
His brain can process and sort the knowledge of over 490 octodecillion beings. All right, so that's 490 times 10 to the power of 57.
Oh my god.
Or 5 billion times the estimated number of atoms on Earth.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. All right?
Well, it got to the point where he got so powerful at one point with his mind control possession that basically he was fueling off the mental prowess of everyone under his control to the point where he could bend and change reality.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
I believe it was in this timeline of his reality bending abilities that the whole Lex Apex Predator storyline came out.
Yeah.
And I forget who they were trying to keep hidden. There's some big bad girl that they were trying to keep hidden. I'm blanking on the name.
Let me keep going through.
All had to do with them going to the past and the whole Vandal Savage storyline.
Oh yeah, I started reading that a little bit, but then I started skipping through. It started getting long-winded, and there was more for me to read.
Oh, at one point I think Brainiac is unconscious or something. So Lex goes into Brainiac's consciousness, and he's way smarter. So the Lex has to be real coy and kind of like stealth him, outsmart him a bit, keep some details hidden, and essentially Lex's whole plan is to convince Brainiac that he needs him because there's still things that he has yet to discover. His example of this is then they go way back in time to Vandal Savage's origin, and they show him coming through time, and he found this heirloom, this like it's like a doorknob, and it opened some reality to let some chick through. What's going on?
Should we tell him?
You'll never know. So in this other reality, he's basically following the progression of Vandal Savage's learning throughout the years. Everyone that Vandal Savage interacts with, he shows them this item and basically has them try and expand on what he already knows. And each new person he interacts with, they'll find something new, but he won't tell them what he already knows. So he has all the information on this, mysterious object and how to work it and what's coming next. And at one point he links up with Lionel Luthor. And Lionel Luthor was always this, this failure. Never left Smallville. Sure, he was rich. Sure, whatever else. But he was basically a failure. They filled in the gaps as to why he was like that. So as he's working with Lionel, Vandal Savage and Lionel Luthor, they're discovering more and more and more about this object. It gets to the point where Lionel is discovering more. He's filling in more gaps. So when they get these pieces of information, he's expanding on them and adding to them on his own. Vandal can't. Vandal only sees what he's been given. So eventually Lionel gets mad and says, Vandal, you're just an idiot caveman. You're never going to get it. And Vandal basically lashes back saying, we'll see. You're not even going to remember who I am or that you worked with me. And so he sends him farther into the future with no memory of how he got there, who he was, or where he'd been. It basically sends Lionel, this defeated old man, into the future. Because he understood it and he grasped all of it. And it basically shows him that no matter what you know, there's always things that you don't. So this is Lex basically showing Brainiac the progression of these other two, saying, look, even though you're Vandal Savage and you lived for 1,000 years and you've learned this information from everyone else, you still can't expand on what the next piece of the picture is. So it was him convincing Brainiac there's still things you don't know. I can help you learn them. And that's Brainiac's whole goal, is to learn more. So that's how he convinced Brainiac to basically side with him at one point. And that's how we got Lionel's storyline filled in from way back before to present.
Yeah.
Why he's like this now. And then I think the New 52 basically then reset.
Yeah. Which we'll get to that in a moment. But this must have happened right after the Doomsday thing.
Right.
Because what happened was he did take over Doomsday's body. But Doomsday's mind was so primal that he couldn't maintain the body for long periods. So they ended up having to look for a different alternative. And that entire story wrapped up where Brainiac ends up getting trapped in the robot body, which became known as Brainiac 2.5.
Okay.
So like I said, I was only going to mention the robots, the Brainiacs that had significant importance.
2.5 is kind of important,
yeah. Because Brainiac 2.5 is the one who planted a virus that would somehow bring Brainiac 13 from his time to our time. So Brainiac 13 is from the 64th century.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Way far.
So Brainiac 13 comes into our present time, fuck things up. I think this story with the battle, that all happened with Brainiac 13. I think.
I believe you're right.
But how Brainiac 13 ends up ending the story with Brainiac 13 was when Brainiac 13 ended up combining with Imperiex. So Imperiex is a being that I got introduced in the year 2000. So it's very much more recent.
Yes.
And Imperiex is the embodiment of entropy.
Time.
Of entropy.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not the Is Imperiex the multicolored guy? He's all different colors and shapes and patterns.
No, Imperiex.
So I know there's Imperiex and then there's Omega, but this is all caused by Brainiac 5. Miss you too, bud. Come back in game. And if you check out the beginning of our episodes, we say our names.
That's Imperiex.
Ah, okay.
That's Imperiex. So Imperiex is the embodiment of entropy. So I had to Google it. What the fuck does that mean? What does that mean to be the embodiment of entropy? What is entropy? So actually, entropy is irreversible. Is what entropy is.
Yeah.
Entropy is anything, any change in any body where it is irreversible. That is entropy. So every time, like you take a metal can and you bang it, the little dings that are put in there, that is entropy.
Sure, you can get the can, into roughly the right shape, but there's always going to be those entropy.
Those imperfections.
Yeah.
That's entropy.
Insurrection. That was entropy from TDA.
Yes. Yeah. So he's the living embodiment of irreversible change, irreversible damage, irreversible transformation.
Yeah.
Also, decay. I mean, like, once things have decayed, it's irreversible, right?
Yeah.
So that's really what entropy is.
Death, decay, famine. The four horsemen, essentially.
Pretty much. But anyways, so Imperiex became a major threat to the entire DC universe. Well, when Brainiac 13 showed up, him and Imperiex ended up merging into one being. So powerful that it took the entire DC multiverse to try and stop him. It took the combination of Lex Luthor's... Let me go back to my notes here. It took the combination of Lex Luthor's temporal displacement technology and Darkseid's boom tube technology, boosted by magic from Tempest and Amazons. It allowed Superman to destroy Brainiac 13.
Was this when Superman ripped open the hole of the Force Shield and Darkseid shot his boom cannon?
Yes.
Basically through Superman's legs just to hit Brainiac?
Yes.
Oh, that was cool. I watched that. I watched that animated episode of that. Yeah.
But yeah, so that was to destroy Brainiac 13, and that was the death of Brainiac 13 and of Imperiex.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, and it was said at that time that Brainiac 13 was the end of the chronological timeline of Brainiacs.
Okay, the person I'm talking about, who with the magical doorknob, by the way, is the Anti-Monitor and the Monitor's mother.
Oh, okay.
You know who I'm talking about now?
Well, I know who the Anti-Monitor is. I didn't know he had a mother.
Yeah, the Monitor and the Anti-Monitor, they have a mother. And she's trapped in some other plane of existence that they're like, let's not let her over here.
That sounds like a supernatural storyline.
It is what it is.
Yeah, it's like the storyline where they didn't want to awaken God's sister because God's sister...
Mara.
Yeah, exactly.
I hated that. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you also have the darkness.
Yeah.
So I haven't watched anything up to the most recent season of Supernatural, but
since
I'm on season 15.
Since Dean's been taken over, I'm maybe like an episode or two in.
Yeah.
Are you even at that point?
No. Dean had been taken over. He's already been. He's
Michael again.
He's Michael again.
Maybe I'm farther than you.
Maybe I'm further than you. Because he's already been Michael, and then got rid of Michael, and then became Michael again.
Well, he's Michael from the other world.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
Maybe you're ahead of me.
And then that Michael ends up getting killed.
I think so. Maybe you're ahead of me.
I must be ahead of you. No, I am ahead of you, because right now where I'm at, they shot God, and God is pissed off at them, and now God has opened the gates of hell.
Shoot God. Stupid asses.
Well, he left them no choice.
So it's not, is it God that we knew?
Yeah, Chuck. They shot a Chuck.
A Chuck?
Hmm?
E Chuck?
No, D Chuck.
Ah.
Yeah.
I'm behind.
Yes. Yeah, that's season 15. But anyways, so that sounds like a supernatural plot, is what that sounds like. With Anti-Monitor's mom. Don't wake her up because she's more powerful than the Anti-Monitor.
Yeah,
there's all like a supernatural.
There's all kinds of shit going on. We got like the Holy Trinity. We got the Trinity. They're in one place. They're in the future, and then it's like Flash and Green Lantern. They're in the past. Like they went to find some bullshit. I don't know. Yeah, some.
Yet another story. Yet another weird comic book story. Like I said, I didn't want to go through every single story that Brainiac was involved in because there's so many, and none of them are small. None of them are small events. So if you want to read Brainiac's story, just pick one and read through it.
Yeah, like none of them are small because he's not a small villain.
No.
He's not a small character. The things that he brings and does and changes, they're universe altering.
Yeah. So the next big change in Brainiac's story was after Infinite Crisis.
Okay, what happens then?
So after Infinite Crisis, Action Comics number 866, which was in 2008, there's a Brainiac that shows up on Earth that looked more like the skeletal robot. The skeletal robot Brainiac.
Yeah.
Superman ends up fighting him and defeating him, destroying him. But then they flash over to another Brainiac, and when that Brainiac went into contact with Superman, it said Project or Initiative 242 has started. Which is a reference to his first appearance, Action Comics number 242.
Oh.
Initiative 242 has begun.
And this is in the Infinite Crisis when he like re-meets him again?
Yeah, so this is at post-Infinite Crisis. So after Infinite Crisis, Superman's up finding this skeletal robotic...
and some computer program kicks in, referencing Easter egg to the first one.
Exactly. But the reason why I'm bringing this up is because this is where they start introducing that every version of Brainiac that Superman has faced throughout the years since his first inception in 1956 have all been different probes sent out by Brainiac. And the actual Brainiac has never actually ever been seen. So this is where...
Goddamn Dr. Doom!
This is where he becomes more like Dr. Doom. So every Brainiac that Superman or everybody else has ever faced up to this point, even like Brainiac 13 and all those different stories, they've all been not Brainiac.
Where's he been hiding this whole time?
I'm not too sure.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yeah, but they've all been probes sent out by Brainiac. So they've either been probes, clones, and nanite-controlled bodies.
Okay.
Yeah. No one has ever actually seen Brainiac. Brainiac travels the universe, stealing knowledge of every alien culture, shrinking and abducting cities from each planet. So this is where it really establishes his motivation to steal the knowledge of all the different planets. This is where this is where they really establish his motivation, where his main goal is to accumulate knowledge from different planets, and then he'll steal cities and shrink cities, put them in his capsules, just like what he's always done, but for the express purpose of it's more like a
library, a stored library
exactly.
full of knowledge, just categorizing all its different sections.
Exactly.
Like I believe in one of the animated movies or TV shows, at one point he was showing Superman, look, I have Candor, and he brought him into his ship wherever, and there's these little yellow light bulbs everywhere, basically just floating around. And he walks up and he's like, "This is all the knowledge of this entire planet. This is all the knowledge of this entire planet." And he's like, "Wow." So he's just been storing. He's a collector.
Yes. Oh, right. I knew I skipped a piece of information.
What did we miss?
Going way back to his original origin, like the Silver Age of Brainiac. There's a reason why I wanted to bring this up, and I knew I skipped something really important that's really relevant to our current situation right now.
Lay it on me.
Alright, so his original origin back in the Silver Age, before he was revealed as a robot, before the first retcon, when he was still just an alien, his original origin was that reason why he was shrinking all these cities. This is what made me think, is because the shrinking of all the cities. His original origin was not to gain knowledge of all these different civilizations. The reason why he was shrinking these cities down and put them in capsules and whatnot is because he went on. So he came from a planet called Brainiac, so different planet than what was shown later on.
Cthulhu.
Instead of Cthulhu, he was actually from Brainiac. And he went on a space journey. He was traveling across space.
He's just an explorer, pilgrim.
Yeah, and when he came back to his home planet, the entire planet's population got wiped out by a disease, by a virus.
Corona?
Yeah.
It's taken millions of light years, but I think it's found us.
Yeah. So what his plan is to shrink a bunch of cities and then bring him back to his planet, to Brainiac, to repopulate Brainiac, and then he could rule the new population. So that's his plan. It's to repopulate his planet, and then he could rule this new population.
How's he gonna repopulate it though?
By shrinking down these cities and bringing them back to his planet.
Oh, so he doesn't want his own people.
No. Well, his own people got wiped out.
So he's like, I'll just be the ruler of all these random people.
That's right.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like a Wizard of Oz.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that was his original motivation.
Okay, now at what point did he get defeated by essentially being thrown into the swamp, bacteria overriding?
We still haven't gotten to that yet.
We aren't there. Oh,
no.
Spoilers.
Yeah. So we're getting there though. We are getting
gotta
there.
be close.
Actually, this is pretty much it. So when Superman finally meets the real Brainiac,
we finally get to meet the real guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
When Superman finally meets the real Brainiac overpowers Superman. He's stronger than Superman. He's more durable than Superman. Tries to punch him. Actually, this is more New 52. So he doesn't. Superman never actually meets the real Brainiac until New 52. But in New 52, Superman meets the real Brainiac, and this real Brainiac is physically stronger than Superman, more durable than Superman. Like Superman gave Brainiac a flurry of blows, and Brainiac didn't even feel it. And Brainiac pretty much one-shot Superman.
Oh my god.
Yeah. So, travels to the Earth, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so, New 52. In New 52, his most recent reimagining happens. And I really like this reimagining of Brainiac.
What do they do to change him?
So this is the one where I think is going to remain his new canon now. Every version of Brainiac that you see in like the Injustice video games and the most recent Superman movie where he fights Brainiac is called Superman Unbound. It is based off of this Brainiac as well.
Oh, okay.
And
that was one of the animated movies.
That's right.
Recent ones.
That's right. So in this is his second reimagining of Vril Drox. So he's Vril Dox. This is the one that you're probably familiar with.
Yeah.
This is the one where he's from the planet Yod Kolu, and he's acknowledged as the greatest scientist of the planet. And as a scientist, he develops this machine that allows him to see into the fifth dimension.
Oh my god.
And the fifth dimension is where creatures like Mr. Pixelwick.
Yeah, Mixapixel.
Yeah, and also Batmite are from.
Batmite, okay, I remember you talked about him.
Yeah.
He's always trying to help out Batman, but just usually fucking things up.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. These beings from the fifth dimension that have technology so advanced that it seems like magic to us.
Right.
So Vril ends up creating a machine that allowed him to see into the fifth dimension. And what he saw was that there's a big war going on in the fifth dimension. and to escape this war, the machine that he created was called Computo.
Ah, right.
Computo.
Yep.
I don't know what it stands for, but it spells Computo. But he builds Computo, which allows him to see in the fifth dimension. So when he sees in the fifth dimension is at war, he also finds out about the multitude. The multitude is a force, I think, from the fifth dimension. And I didn't quite read specifically if it was a being or a force. It sounds like it's a force that lifts the fifth dimension into our universe. And by the time Brainiac had already found out about this, the multitude had already destroyed hundreds of planets.
Oh, shit.
And he found out that Yod Kolu was next. That the multitude was on its way to destroy Yod Kolu.
That's not good.
No, so Brainiac was trying to find a way to stop the multitude. He ended up doing experimentations even on his own son. Yeah, and then he ends up devising a building machine that allowed him to take over all the machines on the planet in an effort to unite all the information and all the minds to try and stop
The magnitude.
the multitude.
The multitude.
Yeah, but he couldn't. So what he did was he used his shrinking technology. So his most advanced scientist recognition, his fields of expertise was in his shrinking technology and his force field technology.
Ah, that's wicked. Okay, so
Yeah.
he shrinks down the whole planet and puts a force shield around it?
Yeah, and lets the rest of his planet get destroyed by the multitude.
Except for the city that he's in.
That's right. The city that his child and wife is in.
Oh, yeah, because I remember at one point in the timeline, they reset it so that he's not the robot. He actually has a wife and kid.
That's right.
They die. In one of the storylines, they die as well.
Yeah. But right now, he shrunk down the city that his wife and child are in and lets the rest of the planet get destroyed. He uses the technology that he developed to try and defeat the multitude to enhance his own abilities. This is why he's stronger than Superman and tougher than Superman. He puts cybernetics into his own body, which is the ports on his head, and so he made himself like, even though he is biological, he is more cybernetic now. He's a cyborg.
Funny you mentioned Cyborg, because I know at certain points in, I believe, some of the movies, he basically takes over and controls Cyborg.
Which makes sense, because that's one of his abilities, is that he can control technology.
Yeah.
So his new motivation, this new Brainiac's motivation, is to stop the multitude. So what he does, he creates multiple versions of himself, clones of himself, and those are the different versions of Brainiac that we've seen, like the skeletal, the skeletal Brainiac, the more humanoid-looking Brainiac, all these different versions of Brainiac.
Iron Man suits.
Exactly.
Mach 1 through 13.
Exactly, and he sends them out throughout the entire universe because his goal is to try and stop the multitude, but the multitude is traveling so fast he can't do it by himself. So he had to split himself into multiple versions of himself to try and stop the multitude from destroying all these planets. And his goal is to go to a planet and find out if the planet has the resources to try and stop the multitude, and if it cannot help him stop the multitude, he'll shrink down one of the cities as a means to preserve the civilization, and let the rest of the planet get destroyed. Actually, no, he didn't let the planet get destroyed. He shrinks down the planet, destroys the sun that sustains that planet, destroying the planet before the multitude has a chance to destroy it itself. Why? I don't know.
Is it just to leave a rock?
I guess so. Maybe he's trying to starve the multitude. Maybe the multitude is trying to
it's an energy life force. Yeah, maybe.
But yeah, so he steals the planet and then destroys the sun to destroy the planet, prevent the multitude from destroying it.
Maybe the multitude gets power from the sun, so he can't leave the suns up, and he's also going to get power from everyone on Earth.
Maybe, but the story is not very consistent because
because
one of these Brainiacs ends up going to Krypton and shrinks down Kandor, but doesn't destroy the sun. As a matter of fact, so here's some.
I know this.
So Jor-El ends up developing a technology that can actually stop the multitude. And so they were actually successful in stopping the multitude from destroying Krypton. Brainiac found out about this, so he wanted to go back to Krypton to meet Jor-El to find out what did he do to stop the multitude. But by the time he got there, he found out that Krypton got destroyed anyways.
Another fact, too, is Jor-El warned Krypton of its eventual demise.
Yes.
The only city on Krypton that actually believed Jor-El's warning and heeded his call, Kandor.
Yes.
Which meant once he took Kandor away, there was no one on Krypton to back up Jor-El and be like, this is bad, we need to go.
Yeah.
So,
In effect,
Brainiac led to Krypton's demise.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. How you like them apples?
Yeah.
Clark didn't.
Yeah. So that's the motivation of Brainiac now. So Brainiac shows up on Earth is because he's trying to save us from the multitude.
Yeah. And the whole Brainiac 5 was originally brought in for them to do a Superboy. And Superboy was not originally Connor Kent. Superboy was originally Teenage Superman. And that's why they had a Teenage Brainiac to coincide with him, but that all got retconned, and Superboy got his own role. And,
Yeah.
Another side bit of information here. So, Brainiac 5 featured on the Supergirl TV show.
Mm-hmm.
His parents are... There's 2 Brainiac 4s. So his parents are Brainiac 4 and Brainiac 4. Yeah. Brand new Brainiac 5.
Yeah.
And like we said, the whole family tree of Brainiacs gets very confusing, so we're just not going to...
Yeah.
We'll just skip it.
Well, yeah, no, like I said, it goes all the way up to Brainiac 13, so obviously there's a Brainiac for each generation up to the Brainiac 13, which existed in 64th century.
Yeah.
So, and that's a lot of years in between.
Shut up, Bowser.
13 Brainiacs across 40,000 years? Or 4,000 years?
I mean, each one's really old.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the first one that we saw, they said that once he got the planet, he was tired, he was depleted, he was laying down for his whatever kind of rest to essentially revitalize himself. So I think there's some way that he extends his life by essentially Jedi sleeping or whatever the hell you call it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Goes into his like prolonged states of hybernetic slumber.
Yeah. Yeah, among other things to rejuvenate himself.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much everything that I wrote down about his publication history.
Right.
So I want to go over his powers a little bit.
Let's go over the powers.
So we already talked about his 12th level intellect.
Yep.
He also has the ability to possess others.
Yep.
Absorb information from other beings.
Yep.
He can transfer his consciousness.
Right. We've seen him do that.
Yeah, into other machines and also other beings when he tried to transfer his consciousness into Doomsday.
Yes.
He has the ability to create and manipulate computer systems. So he has control over computers and machines.
All technology.
All really. Replicates multiple versions of himself. So his Doombots. He can travel through space and time. His physical strength and durability so his bots, his clones, all have the strength and durability near Superman level. But Brainiac himself is actually stronger, physically stronger, and more durable than Superman.
Oh, yeah.
He has telepathy and telekinesis as well. So, yeah, he's got a lot of fucking powers.
Yes. Speed, strength, flight?
Flight, he can travel through space and time.
Oh, God. Obviously, he can breathe in space?
Yeah, well, he's a machine. Yeah. He doesn't need to breathe, period.
He's strong.
Yeah.
Brainiac, he was ranked DC's number 17 top villain.
That's pretty low still. I would imagine he'd be higher.
You would think he'd be higher.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's because
that is pretty high, but...
but low.
Yes.
Out of, like, the competitors, there's...
Like, he's no Lex Luthor and he's no Joker.
Well, it's because he's not a front man. I think that's why he loses some of the credibility.
But I like Brainiac more than Darkseid.
Yeah, because he's more relevant. Darkseid is like, when he shows up, it's over.
Yeah.
Brainiac shows up, you can still fight.
Well, because Brainiac comes with... What comes with Brainiac
He has
is
a purpose.
Story, and there's motivation, and there's just more intrigue.
A greater cause than just to be the ruler of the galaxy.
That's right. And Darkseid, he's pretty basic. He's pretty primal.
I want to rule.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
Whereas Brainiac wants to learn, he wants to collect, he wants to rebuild. He is a villain with genuine good goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which makes him different.
Yeah. Well, no, not that different. There's many other villains that are like that. Magneto, Doom, hell, Doctor Doom.
Yes. They have genuine good goals.
I never knew how much similarities Brainiac had to Doctor Doom.
I didn't realize that either. Like, it's a lot.
Yeah.
The whole Doombot thing, the whole like tech advanced tech to the point where it looks like magic.
Yeah.
Bowser, where you going, bud? Move along.
So outside of comics, we've talked about his appearance in Smallville. So in Smallville, he's actually he's acted by James
Spike.
Yeah, Spike from Buffy. You guys ever watch Buffy or Angel? Spike, he plays
Milton Fine.
Yes,
because it's
also Piccolo.
He does play Piccolo.
Yeah, he does.
Oh, fuck, that's a bad choice. I think it's just because he has the angry look.
Yeah.
That's not good.
No. Well, the movie was terrible.
It was really bad. Anyway.
Yeah. He portrays Brainiac in Smallville.
Yeah, and they do a flashback at one point, and we see Brainiac. He also portrays Brainiac 5 doing some kind of rendition, being like, "Look, I'm here with the Legion Ring. I'm here to help you." Blah blah blah.
Yeah. And he, as we mentioned, he's also in Supergirl.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, Brainiac 5 is in Supergirl.
And Indigo.
Indigo
is Brainiac 8.
Yes.
And it's a female blue Brainiac.
Yes.
In Supergirl, it's actually played by Supergirl from Smallville.
Is it?
Smallville's Supergirl, his cousin Kara.
Yeah.
She plays Indigo in Supergirl.
I didn't know that. But I knew that Supergirl is like littered with Easter eggs like that. I mean, like Linda, Wonder Woman.
Wonder Woman is the president.
Yeah, and Dean Cain is her adopted stepfather.
Yes,
and
yes.
Yeah, so there's
a bunch of Easter. Yeah, that was another one that I saw just today.
Yeah,
so I was like, oh, interesting.
Yeah.
And then what else we got?
So after that, Brainiac has been showing up in Superman Adventures, the animated series. That was right. From the same animation as Batman the animated series. So Bruce Timm and all that.
Well, one of his biggest ones that he's been showcased in is Krypton. He is the main villain of all season one's Krypton show,
which I haven't watched at all.
I've only seen the first episode, maybe the second. So pretty green in that sense. I don't know much more than you, but he's supposed to be the main villain.
Yeah, I did read
that. Season 1, and Krypton is set prior to Superman's birth, even like it's his grandfather. I think. Yeah. It's not even his father. It's not Jor-El. It's his grandfather.
Yeah.
So raises the question: how old's Brainiac? He's been around since. Yeah.
Over 200 years old.
Yeah. So that makes me wonder, is there stories of him fighting Superman's grandparents in the comics? Or is this...
Sort of.
What is Krypton based off, the TV show? Is it comic storyline or...
I don't think it's based off anything. It's much like Smallville. It's
okay.
Standalone. Just like an alternate reality kind of
Sweet. Thing. Okay, well, I'm going to let you finish up. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So Brainiac was actually part of... I'm a big Flash fan, and I've mentioned this in my episode where I talk about the Flash, is when Brainiac fused with Lex Luthor and kicked the crap out of the entire Justice League team. This was in Justice League Unlimited. The only one left standing was Flash, and then Flash looked like he was going to run away, but he ended up running around the world and coming back and started hitting this Brainiac Lex Luthor over and over and over again, defeating him. It was it was awesome. If anything, you could YouTube that fight scene. It's like a minute long, but it's awesome. If you're a Flash fan or if you're a Brainiac fan, that entire episode, it's a 2-part episode, or was it a 3-part episode? It was really, really good. Other than that, though, Brainiac hasn't had... Oh, let's not forget about Injustice 2. He is the main villain of Injustice 2.
He's throughout that whole game. He's just in your face.
Yeah, great character. He's a really fun character to play as, and he is voice acted by. I always forget his name. It's not a name. It's a name that I should know because he's been in so many things. Primarily, he was one of the most. IMDb.com.
One of the most what?
So in Star Trek Enterprise, he was actually
Trekkies.
Yes. And proud of it.
Hey, all the new stuff I liked. Ever since they started redoing the movies, I've been a fan. I'm on board.
You should watch Star Trek Picard.
I have not started it, and I do need to. Did you ever watch all of Discovery?
No, I did not.
Yeah, I fell off halfway through that, but I was enjoying that show.
Season 2 was really good.
I didn't. I made it near the end of the first one.
You can kind of skip
through.
Skip season 1, or even just read like summaries of episodes of Wikipedia.
Won't be missing too much.
No, and then season 2 is pretty
Excellent.
good, and they got renewed for season 4.
Oh wow! Okay. Oh wow! 3's already out.
Yeah. 3's
Yeah, I'm wait. Okay, I need a new show to watch, guys. I wonder if Jumbo's got the season 1 and 2 for me to grab at least.
Probably.
Maybe. What do you look for there, Mitch?
Okay, that is him. Jeffrey Combs is the name of the actor. So
Can't put a face to him.
he plays one of the main aliens who becomes a recurring character throughout Star Trek Enterprise. He was... Let's see, anything that you might know.
Data? No.
Creepshow, Pandora, Hot Streets, Tigton. He was the voice of Scarecrow in Lego DC Supervillains. He was a Question in Scooby-Doo and Batman. He was Ratchet and Robots and Transformers Robots in Disguise.
Nah, my dude, I do not know this dude.
No. Once you see him, especially once you hear him talk, he's been in episodes. Yeah, in Star Trek Voyager, he was Ryum in Star Trek Voyager as well.
Yeah, no, I can recognize him, but I just don't know him well.
He's been multiple characters in. He's been in multiple episodes, different things.
He looks very different in each thing he does.
Yeah, but he does. He's very good with makeup and whatnot.
Yeah,
he's got a very distinct voice, very distinct mannerisms.
I'd have to hear him then.
Yeah, and his facial mannerisms as well. Like they animated his facial mannerisms in the Injustice 2 so well that if I didn't even hear his voice, just his facial mannerisms, I knew it was him. But then I heard him talking because just his inflections, I'm like, yeah, that's him.
That's him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, one other thing that we saw Brainiac in, I remember, probably early 2000s, was the cartoon show Static Shock. And I never realized Static Shock was a DC character at the time. But I guess Brainiac was one of his villains throughout the short-lived show. I think it was maybe a 2-season show.
Something like that.
Yeah. At the time, I never would have realized it was Brainiac, but thinking back on it now, I'm like, oh, okay. It's kind of cool.
That makes sense. And now that I just read it, it makes sense. He is also the voice actor for the leader in Avengers Earth Mightiest Heroes. The leader. Yeah, the Hulk villain.
Oh, I still haven't seen that Earth Mightiest Heroes.
It's only 2 seasons. It's
I gotta watch it.
The best Avengers animated anything.
I gotta watch it.
It's so accurate to the comics. People watching, if you haven't watched all of Earth's Mightiest Heroes, watch it. It is spectacular Spider-Man level good.
Okay, we know that
universe, but
yeah.
But you never know with what we talked about 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, we might have the merger of the worlds, the universes, DC and Marvel becoming one.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Yeah.
I think that's everything we got for Brainiac today.
Yeah.
Cool. Next week
we're doing House Event. We're doing an event. We said that we wanted to do an event, and throughout different episodes, talking about many Marvel characters. Talk about like when we talked about Cyclops, when we talked about Jean Grey, when we talked about Captain Marvel, Carol Danvers, we talked about Magneto. We always reference back to the one event, House of M. So we figured we wanted to do an event, and we mentioned House of M many times. We'll do House of M next week.
Yeah, we've talked through and discussed featuring enough characters that are major players in it.
Yeah.
It's time.
Yeah. Now, the goal of this show was to talk about characters as they're portrayed in
Media.
in the current media. And so far, they haven't done House of M in any TV show, any cartoon, any movie. House of M has not been shown outside of the comics. But it is still an important event to talk about. There's a very good chance that they will do House of M in a animated movie or a live action movie at one point. So consider this as a preemptive. Check this out. They might make a movie of this.
I bet we'll see it within the next 5 years based on they got the WandaVision.
Yeah.
And they've got other things going on.
Yeah.
That are bringing us in that direction.
Yeah, they can.
They got the New Mutants.
Yeah.
For example, like I think they're starting to open up the Marvel universe to
maybe it's
mutants.
Maybe what they'll do is, you know, what if they'll do House of M but reverse at the end of House of M? We'll talk about this next episode.
Tune in next week.
Yes.
For more. Followed by Hulk in 2 weeks.
Yes.
So we'll see you quarantine folks next week. Still, strapped to your houses.
Yeah. Yeah, you guys are all stuck at home. Come watch us.
Yep. Don't forget to follow, subscribe, and tell your friends. We hope to see you guys next week with House of M. Thanks for tuning in this week for another episode of Worlds Collide featuring Brainiac. I'm Justin.
I'm Mitch.
Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.